All right, guys. Welcome to another edition of Move with Matt. I'm here with my good buddy, Zach Falk. He is from Black Diamond Mortgage here in Whitefish. He is my first ever guest on the podcast, and it's fitting because the only other podcast I've ever been on was actually yours. I don't know if you knew that, but
I didn't know that.
yeah, so that's the only one I've been on, and it's fitting that you're here with us. And he chose golf as our active activity, and unfortunately for me, he's a hell of a golfer. And I am not, so it should be interesting. But
he told me last night he wanted me to go easy on him. I said, no way.
No, yeah, that's just not how he rolls. But it should be fun. We're going to ask him a lot of questions, and he'll provide a lot of value. So enjoy, you guys. But we like to stick ourselves behind trees on the first one just to see how we're feeling. Dude, that was a nice shot. All right, dude. So Zach is on in 2. He's on in regulation, I think.
Yep, par 4.
I'm off. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that you're a lifer here. You grew up here, right?
I was born and raised.
Yeah, so
Kalispell, Montana.
You've seen the growth.
I have. Well, to me, there's like tiered changes. I think there's like 5 years back to today, and then 10 years back to today, where you've seen some changes.
Yeah.
10 years back is when things kind of started towards the bottom of the parabola, but on a graph, and the parabola starts heading towards the top part. And then 5 years, you're like halfway through that parabola. And then now the question is how long is that graph? We don't know yet. But I would say the biggest change is just the amount of wealth that has entered the valley. Like Montana, Whitefish,
so
Kalispell was just like a normal small town, and it still has a lot of those characteristics.
It does.
But there's just money here.
There's a lot of second homers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people have places in Arizona, Florida. So you notice that in just the people that you interface with.
Yeah, for sure.
As you go about your day.
And I've only been here for 5 years, and I've seen a change in that amount of time. So I can only imagine, like you.
Yeah. Well, you came in at that 5 year.
Yeah, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah. No, you're one of the good ones.
Exactly. Good putt. Par for me to start, bogey for Zach. And the only reason I'm recording this is because that is the only time this is going to happen, these 9 holes. So
he hit this beautiful, he's like, I haven't played golf all year, and I don't believe him anymore. Because he hit this pitch shot over a bunker. It's like a flop shot. Makes the putt, and I 3-jack it for bogey.
It's only the first hole, and that's the only thing I'm going to get on all day. So this is why we're recording it. Here, fun fact about Zach. He has visited and been to all 50 states. And the question to me, or for me, to you is, out of all 50 states, has any state questioned your loyalty to Montana?
First of all, great question. The truthful answer is not really. But that's a kind of lame way to dodge the question. So I'll give you one that came closest. It was actually, so I'm kind of a history guy. As we talk more, you'll learn I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I'm all right with that. I really liked Massachusetts. I really liked the city of Boston.
Okay,
Boston was awesome.
Yeah.
So we went when I was a kid, and we went to 4 or 5 baseball games.
Oh, you went to the Red Sox?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yep.
on the bucket list for
Absolutely.
sure.
And there's just so much history. Everything's like old architecture.
Yeah.
And the people were actually, they're like East Coast nice, which is different than West Coast nice, but they were genuine people.
Yeah.
At least that was my memory.
Okay.
I came back later in my life too.
I would have never guessed.
I know.
Yeah.
Most people say, like Florida, Arizona,
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
And those places are cool.
Especially for a golfer like you.
Yeah. And I wouldn't play a lot. We
Yeah.
stayed at so my dad, when I was 10, bought a 28-foot camper trailer and a 2005 F-250. And we spent 9 months traveling the United States. We did a big loop. And we loved Boston so much that we changed the agenda, and we stayed there 3 weeks and just hung out, and it was awesome. We stayed in this campground, and anyway, I want to take my kids now and go back and experience that history with them. But the other place that came close, because you mentioned golf, was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
that.
like the golf mecca of the world. And the other thing that's really cool there is they have these crazy mini golf courses.
Oh, really?
So they're like mountains.
Yeah,
they're massive.
Save no shot.
Yeah. And so we went back there a couple years ago with my boys and played like 10 rounds of mini golf and kept a rallying score for everybody to see who won. And that did come close. But honestly, Montana, there is nothing like Montana in my opinion.
It calls to you in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean,
anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, sweet.
Let's take them on here on the second. Actually, might be okay. Oh, you're right. Ooh. So after hole 2, Zach is taking it extra easy on me just to suck us in. I bogeyed, he double bogeyed, which is very rare in his case, so we'll take it. I don't know if it's the YouTube golf that's giving the extra nerves or what, but I did have one question for you about like the Montana lifestyle. You're not typically like a hunter, a fisher. That's not your jam. So for people that are looking to move to Montana that necessarily don't live the Montana lifestyle, aren't hunters, fishers, what other things are there out there besides maybe golf?
Well, I was going to say golf's a big one. People ask me what I do in the winter because I don't ski or snowboard either.
Same, yeah.
And I tell people I work.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true.
I sell people mortgages during the winter months. But no, I have 3 kids, and so they keep us busy.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of things with them. We're really involved in our church, and so we have a lot of people we host a lot.
Yeah.
My wife's a big-time hostess, and I wasn't. And so it was a skill I had to become, I guess, comfortable with or better at. And so we usually have people in our house like probably 2 or 3 times a week, like over for dinner,
that's awesome,
every single week.
That's cool.
And
building like a little community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we like to travel too, so we'll get out of town a little bit here and there, and as much as we can. And it's but yeah, no, I don't. I think I maybe got burnt out by some of the Montana stuff when I was a kid, and it wasn't stuff that my dad was super into. I've hunted, I've killed a lot of deer.
Yeah.
I fished, and I don't know, it just never.
Yeah. No,
never
I get
snagged my interest.
Yeah,
it's
for
odd.
sure.
Yeah.
But I'm meeting more and more people that don't do that stuff, but they still move here because of maybe the hiking or just like the lake life or whatever it is. So.
Well, I think for me, the big thing is the people. And that's where I guess when we fill our home with people, we check that box of like, this is why we're in Montana, because we like all these people.
For sure.
And so a lot of it's relationship based
Yep.
for me, I guess. And I kind of like it that way.
Same, man.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
pretty fun.
Yeah, dude, they are quick. Nice shot, dude. Good shot. So I know we kind of hit on it already, but I have a lot of clients that are moving with younger families, which we both have. So what would you say like the best part of the Flathead Valley, raising a young family? What do we like offer as a community?
I think that the big thing that you get in Montana, and this kind of comes back to the question you asked me before, is you get really good people. So like, I go to the store, I'm not concerned about where my kids are per se. Like,
Yeah.
of course I care where they are.
Right.
But like, if they interact with people at the grocery store, they're not in danger of
Exactly.
like weird stuff
Yeah.
that you get in big cities. So there's a trust factor that goes with other people. And most people here are interested in the success of kids, and they're not so siloed in their own little worlds that they don't really focus on kids. So like, they say it takes an army to raise a child.
It's true.
You know?
Yeah.
And you get that in Montana with people you don't even know. And so that's one of the huge things, right?
I was gonna say, I feel like the small town community feel is real.
Oh,
Like,
it is.
You know, like it's everyone trying to help each other, and usually you know a lot of the people around too. So
Yeah, we can't go to the store without seeing
Exactly,
somebody we
yeah,
know.
exactly.
And which I love.
I love
Some
it,
people
too.
hate that, but I love it.
I love it too.
I think the other thing, schools are pretty good, but I read a statistic the other day that like 50 to 60% of kids in the Flathead Valley are homeschooled, which is crazy.
I know.
It's slowly ticked up over the last 5 years.
Since COVID, yeah,
Yeah.
especially.
And I was homeschooled as a real young kid until middle school. My wife was homeschooled all the way through high school. And we're homeschooling our kids. And so one of the benefits is there's not like this. There's a lot of extracurricular stuff that
Exactly.
these kids can still do.
Sports,
Yeah.
chess, all that stuff.
It's different. Like, it's not like weird homeschool
Yeah,
kids
exactly. Never
stereotypically
socializing,
were,
yeah.
you know? And so I think that's a huge benefit of raising
I
kids in
agree.
Montana, is that you have the freedom to do with your children what you believe is right for
Yeah.
them.
And you
have
don't
other
get-
people telling you.
And you don't get looked down upon for doing that.
Almost commended.
Yeah,
It's almost
exactly.
the exact opposite,
Yeah.
which is sweet. But
All
I'm going
right.
to take you down this hole, all right?
Yeah, hole 5. Here we go. Turn. So now tying back into your current business, the mortgage industry, what would you say like the biggest misconception of the mortgage industry is that people have today?
I think perhaps the largest misconception is that all mortgage companies and all loan officers are equal. And
Yeah, that's true.
I really think a lot of people think that. And the truth is a mortgage in and of itself is a commodity.
Absolutely.
And if you don't think,
Huge
if you're in a
commodity.
loan officer and you don't think that it is, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's a commodity. And so then it
100%.
becomes about how do you differentiate yourself. And that is where most people get things wrong, is that there is no difference. It's purely price and nothing else. And what I have found is that if you are an excellent communicator and you set expectations well, and you're a problem solver, that is where the differentiation happens in mortgage. I've done countless loans where people come to me saying that someone else they talked to said it couldn't be done. And that right there is the myth, is that if somebody says it can't be done because it's a commodity, that must be the truth. But it's not.
Knowing Zach too, I bet he actually enjoys those ones more than the quote unquote easier ones, because
Well,
you see it as a challenge.
It's a challenge,
Yeah.
but it's also you make someone's dreams come
That's
true.
what I mean. Yeah,
Yes.
it's just, exactly.
When someone's been told no, then and then you come into the picture and you say, actually, I think it's doable. Here's how we do it. their whole entire lives change. Like what? So home ownership is the greatest wealth generation tool in America.
I agree.
And so if you can figure out how to solve that for someone, you're literally making them wealthier. And that's what I would say. It's just don't allow it to be black and white. It's more gray than people might think.
I love that answer.
And it's a good thing that it is. But yeah, I love it.
Yep. All right, we're here on hole number 6, par 5. It's time to let the big dogs eat. Water.
Matt,
Dang it.
what were you thinking?
I don't know. Perfect. Dude, yeah. If you had to keep it short and sweet, what would be one piece of advice to a new family or somebody moving to the Flathead Valley? Like something maybe they don't know about it. Like something I always tell people is, if you're gonna move here full time, the winter can be rough, and you don't see sun for a while. And I try and be very transparent about that.
I think that's fair. I think the other thing, short and sweet, honestly, if you want to move to Montana, would be don't wait.
There you go.
I think that it's the best place to own real estate for the long term.
It really is, and more people are realizing that, and it's becoming more and more of a hot commodity, and that's why the prices have kind of gone up. So get in while you can.
It's about half a cup. So that's going to be my aim point. And I just have to control the speed well. We might walk away with birdie.
I think he's got it in him.
There it is.
Good putt, dude. So we're playing at Whitefish Lake Golf Club, which is an awesome 218 course. But
Right downtown Whitefish too.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you can't beat the location.
Yeah.
But out of all the courses in Montana, either that you have or have not played, which one's on your bucket list? Or what would you prescribe to somebody that's listening right now? Like, what would you say is like the go-to spot in Montana, even if you haven't been there?
I think it's the Flathead Valley, generalized. I'll get more specific in a second. And the reason I say that is because you have 5 really good golf courses within like a 20-mile radius.
Public.
Yeah. And that's not common.
No.
Then you go a little further north, you got Iron Horse, which is a private course, but it's gorgeous. But I think, honestly, my favorite in the area is actually Indian Springs in Eureka. Yeah. So Eureka has Indian Springs and Wilderness Club. A lot of people talked about the Wilderness Club, and it's cool, but I like Indian Springs better. It's more like a links golf course. And I think they're going private soon.
I heard that.
I don't know, but anyway, I think that is like, the views up there are gorgeous, and it's just good golf. The course is always in good shape. But overall, like if you look at Montana as a whole, literally the Flathead Valley has the highest concentration of good golf courses in a small area.
Yeah, it is kind of unreal how many we have in the area. Yeah. I would say I played Wilderness, and I really liked Wilderness.
Yeah.
But
were you in those giant bunkers ever?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's tough to beat, like Zach was saying, it's tough to beat the courses around here because they're all so close in proximity, and you can literally just sneak out for a quick 9 holes and get back to your house pretty quickly. So
yep, I agree.
It's tough to beat.
So we take that birdie from the last hole and turn it into a triple on the next one. Is that what we're supposed to do?
Well, that's what I just did on the previous one. So we're here on a par 3, number 7, and it's a gorgeous hole.
You should get a shot of this.
Yeah, I will.
It's pretty sweet.
Okay, be honest. How many clubs have you broken Or balls have you thrown in the lake in your day?
Okay, balls thrown in the lake is not a fair question. Because that number might be in the hundreds. Clubs I've broken. Some you break unintentionally. And I've got one unintentional break. And then I do have one intentional.
I was going to say, there's got to be one in there.
Yeah. There's this one time I was probably a 16, 17-year-old kid. And I hit a 3-wood and I just hated the shot. And I took the club and I threw it as hard as I could at my bag and snapped the hosel right off. And it was my favorite club. I actually had it reshafted because, I didn't want to get rid of it. But then the other one that comes to mind is I was playing in a tournament in high school. And it was super wet. It was probably the wettest I've ever played golf. Second wettest. And the kind of rain where your glove becomes a retraction, or it takes away from your swing as opposed to benefiting you. So I got a par 3 over a pond and go to swing and whoosh, club flies right out of my hand. The club goes 30 yards into the pond. I never saw it again.
So Zach and his wife and family, they just broke ground, correct? On your new build, your dream home.
We are 4 weeks in.
Something that we all dream of doing, right? So he's been sitting on this lot for a couple years, I think, right? Something like that.
Almost, 3.5.
Yeah.
3.5 years.
And they finally have gotten the opportunity to take the leap and do it. So has there been any unexpected maybe problems or just anything that you could kind of share with them?
How much time do we have?
Exactly.
So many unexpected things. And a lot of it was in the subdivision. We had to split some land. And I would say if you understand, if you want to build, make sure you get the lot set up well beforehand. And that includes infrastructure, because there's a lot of questions about infrastructure stuff too that's really important to get answered. But overall, it's gone pretty well. And I think a large reason for that is just because we have spent a lot of time thinking about it and planning it.
It's got to be exciting though, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm the kind of guy that, have you seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Oh yeah.
The Hobbit?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so my personality is like the dragon Smaug. I would be content to sit on a pile of gold for the rest of my life.
I'm the same way.
And earn interest on it in the modern world, right? My wife, however, is really good for me.
Yeah, she wants to spend it.
But in a good way
right.
for other people. And so leading up to it, it was fear and trepidation. And now that we're in it and it's irreversible, it's definitely turned to excitement.
But I think that's the part that holds us all back. Is kind of that fear of oh man, I've worked so hard for this money. I don't want it to go to waste. What if something really bad happens? All that fear just kind of
what ifs.
Yeah. But I feel once you dive in and you just have the burn the boats mentality where there is no turning back. Just go for it and you figure it out. I think that's the part of it that people don't realize, is that you always figure it out.
Yeah. And I tell my customers this, and so it was time for me to practice what I preach.
Exactly.
And so for anybody I'm helping right now, I'm look, I'm in the boat with you. We're rowing together.
Yeah.
And it's upstream and it's rapids and it's hard, but we're gonna do it and you're gonna figure it out. So.
And that's a great example, and now you have the knowledge to pass on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of fun.
All right, par 4.
Let the big dogs eat.
Let's go.
Tiny draw. Tiny draws the play.
Oh, I didn't turn it.
Dead straight. Playable.
Okay, if Zach Falk wasn't doing mortgages today, but we know he's killing it in that game, but if he wasn't doing that, what would he be doing today?
I'd be on the PGA Tour.
Shooting,
can't you tell?
Bogeys all day long.
What would I be doing? It'd be something involving people.
Yeah.
I get a lot of energy I'm a true extrovert, so the more time I spend around people, the more energy I get.
Yeah.
It's a hard question, man, because I've done enough things to know that I'm pretty sure mortgage is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life.
For sure.
So with that in mind, it's kind of difficult to, figure out what that would look like.
Yeah.
But either way, no matter what, I would be a husband and a father, I can tell you that.
Absolutely. You guys, this is really cool. I'm just out here on an early morning with my buddy Zach, playing some golf with that awesome view behind us. Doesn't get much better than this. I mean, it's raining a little bit, but that's Montana. So we are on the last hole, number 9 here. I think I'm 5 over. I'm not sure what you're at, but
I lost count.
But we really appreciate Zach being out here. He's such a good dude. Provides a ton of value in my life. He's just a good friend, good guy to know. While we're out here, I was just curious if your boys were to say one thing about you, what would you want that to be?
You know, you sent me this in advance, and I thought about it. This is the question I thought about the most.
Absolutely.
Maybe that tells you a little bit about why or how my life is run. I think that the word I would want them to say is strong.
Nice.
I thought about caring and I thought about patient, but I think that true manly strength includes those other attributes. And so, and the fourth one I thought about was wise, but I don't think that the ages of my kids would understand that concept yet. So strength includes those things. I want them to hopefully categorize me as someone who's always there for them, knows what to do.
Present.
Yep.
Yep.
And someone who they can talk about their problems with. I had an example last night with my almost 8-year-old where he was having a hard time understanding something, and it just made him really upset. And it took a moment, we calmed down, we talked through it, and I could see on his face a little sense of appreciation that Dad took the time to help him understand what he was frustrated by.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how that necessarily translates to strength, but I think that
just
it
being
in
there,
a portion
dude.
or in a way that it does. And so
absolutely.
I'm guessing the word will change as the years go by, but I think that one will always be in the top 3.
I love that, dude, because I tell the girls every day that they're strong, beautiful, and smart, and strong is number 1 because this world is tough. So I love that as a dad.
Yeah, I think that we, not to get too psychological, I guess, but I think there's a lot of weak men in our society today, and I want to be
100%.
I want to be not that, and I want my boys to see and learn from how
Emulate.
I behave.
You're the example. Yeah.
In addition to what I tell them.
Yeah.
And so, the way you live your life is really important to your kids, I think.
I love that, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we got one more hole to go. We'll check in at the end, tally up the scores, and we know Zach's going to win. So I actually forgot one question. I mean, he's the mortgage guy, right? So we have to talk about interest rates while we got him and where they're currently at. And if you had a crystal ball in the next 12, 24 months, what would you say is going to happen?
Yeah, conventional rates, good credit, normal down payment are sitting around high 6s, 675, 6875. They're kind of been in the range of 675 to 725 over the past year. They've just been hovering in that range. I think that we are poised to stay there for a while.
Okay.
Is my professional opinion. The Fed has said they're not cutting rates. The president's pushing for rate cuts, but I don't think the Fed really cares. That said, out into the future, macro global economic policy really affects this, and so we'll see how tariffs and whatnot play out. But I think there's a possibility that they benefit us, but I don't think it's in the near term. I think we'll see a little bit of rate relief, but I still think it's 2 years away.
Yeah.
If I had a crystal ball.
Well, even with that being said, like rates being higher than normal, Zach's been saying he's been doing a lot of deals lately, so it hasn't been stopping people. I mean, it goes to say, like, as a realtor and a mortgage guy, it's like you do what's right and best for you at the current moment. So if you can make it work at that time, don't wait for interest rates to drop, because then the prices will go up even higher and stuff like that.
That's why volume's ticking up, is people realize they can't keep their lives on hold.
Exactly.
And they know that there's a potential for something better in the future, but they need to secure whatever it is they want today, plan for the better future. But yeah, so I think as long as people are making wise financial decisions with their money and they're turning that into home ownership, they're going to win. It's just a matter of how much and how fast.
I love that.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's go make some putts. Bird dog. So just concluded the round of 9 holes. Zach beat me by 4 strokes. No surprise there. But I just appreciate you being out here, man. Seriously, he's a hell of a friend. He's a good guy. He's a great family guy. just a good guy to know in the business. So appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. One thing I got to mention is Matt said I won by 4 strokes, but he was kind and didn't tell what the actual scores were.
That's why, yeah.
We were slapping it around a little bit today.
We were.
Matt, it's been a privilege.
Yeah.
I am so grateful you asked me to do this. I'll do it anytime you want, especially because it gets me out on the golf course. So, but I appreciate you as a person.
Yeah,
so
dude.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
And this concludes another episode of Move with Matt. So keep moving, guys.